To search, rescue, and extinguish a fire, you must first be able to get into the structure. Sometimes this is as easy as trying the doorknob. Other times, more serious methods are required. Among the factors that decide which method to use are the need for speed, the type of door and lock assemblies, the tools and staffing available, and the degree of damage that entry will create. The need for speed must be your main concern, whether to save a life or extinguish a rapidly spreading fire, although in some cases, the type of door or lock will be the deciding factor, since certain types of doors are best opened using specific methods. The last factor, and the one that should be your least concern, is the availability of staffing. 2 people should be able to force the majority of doors. Regardless of the type of door, there are 4 basic rules you should always follow. Rule number 1, try before you pry. This may sound obvious, but imagine spending precious time and staffing going through the forcible entry process only to find out the door was unlocked all along. Wasting time could mean the difference between life and death. Always check the door first. Rule number 2, don't ignore the obvious. By this I mean look for the easiest way to get in. Don't focus on just using the most familiar method of entry, such as prying a door open. Instead, look for a door that might be easier to get into, such as one with glass panes. It doesn't take any time at all to break the glass and reach in and work the lock. Rule number 3, if possible, use the door that the occupants normally use to enter the premises. This applies to many apartments, schools, and other buildings. Many times, doors that are seldom or never used are nailed shut or barricaded, making forced entry difficult and time-consuming. If you can find the door that the occupants usually use, chances are that it will be less heavily secured than the other doors. This will also put you in their most likely path of exit and make your job much easier. Rule number 4, maintain the integrity of the door. Begin by placing the tool almost parallel to the floor at about a 15 to 20 degree angle away from the door. This way you can drive the tool between the door and the molding. The axeman should never swing until he is told to, because the halligan will have to be continually moved outward as it's driven in further, until it's at about a 90 degree angle to the door. This is necessary to prevent driving the tool into the jamb. Because it will be the person on the halligan who decides when to move the tool, there is a great possibility of injury if the axeman decides to swing on his own. You can use a variety of tools, some with better success than others, for through-the-lock entry. A commercially available nail puller, a slide hammer, the K-tool, and the halligan can all be used, but the most effective in removing the lock cylinder is the K-tool, which was specifically designed for this purpose. First, position the jaws of the K-tool over the cylinder, then tap it in place with an axe. Next, insert the adze of the halligan and apply force in the same direction the tool was tapped on. This part's very important, otherwise the tool will slip off the cylinder when you go to pry it out. Once the cylinder is removed, look at it and determine what type it is. There are 3 styles: the square shaft, the flat shaft, sometimes called a screwdriver, and a cam.